His arm twisted into Roth's with benumbing tightness. He had come striding down the black path towards the railway as though he was possessed. Ra had not spoken a word, had simply hung back against Horrocks' pull with all his strength. "I see," he said now, laughing nervously, with an undernote of snare in his voice. "Why on earth are you nipping my arm off, Horrocks, and dragging me along like this?" At length Horrocks released him. His manner changed again. "Nipping your arm off?" he said. "Sorry, but it's you taught me the trick of walking in that friendly way." "You haven't learnt the refinements of it yet, then," said Ra, laughing artificially again. "By Jove, I'm black and blue." Horrocks offered no apology. They stood now near the bottom of the hill, close to the fence that bordered the railway. The ironworks had grown larger and spread out with their approach. They looked up to the blast furnaces now instead of down. The further view of Etruria and Hanley had dropped out of sight with their descent. Before them, by the stile, rose a notice board, bearing still dimly visible the words, "Beware of the trains," half hidden by splashes of coaly mud. "Fine effects," said Horrocks, waving his arm. "Here comes a train. The puffs of smoke, the orange glare, the round eye of light in front of it, the melodious rattle. Fine effects. But these furnaces of mine used to be finer before we shoved cones in their throats and saved the gas." "Oh," said Ra. "Cones?" "Cones, my man, cones. I'll show you one nearer. The flames used to flare out of the open throats. Great, what is it? Pillars of cloud by day, red and black smoke, and pillars of fire by night. Now we run it off in pipes and burn it to heat the blast, and the top is shut by a cone. You'll be interested in that cone." "But every now and then," said Ra, "you get a burst of fire and smoke up there." "The cone's not fixed. It's hung by a chain from a lever, and balanced by an equal force. You shall see it nearer. Else, of course, there'd be no way of getting fuel into the thing. Every now and then the cone dips, and out comes the flare." "I see," said Ra. He looked over his shoulder. "The moon gets brighter," he said. "Come along," said Horrocks abruptly, gripping his shoulder again and moving him suddenly towards the railway crossing. And then came one of those swift incidents, vivid but so rapid that they leave one doubtful and reeling. Halfway across, Horrocks' hand suddenly clenched upon him like a vice, and swung him backward and through a half-turn, so that he looked up the line, and there a chain of lamp-lit carriage windows telescoped swiftly as it came towards them, and the red and yellow lights of an engine grew larger and larger, rushing down upon them. As he grasped what this meant, he turned his face to Horrocks and pushed with all his strength against the arm that held him back between the rails. The struggle did not last a moment. Just as certain as it was that Horrocks held him there, so certain was it that he had been violently lugged out of danger. "Out of the way," said Horrocks with a gasp as the train came rattling by, and they stood panting by the gate into the ironworks. "I did not see it coming," said Ra, still even in spite of his own apprehensions, trying to keep up an appearance of ordinary intercourse. Horrocks answered with a grunt. "The cone," he said, and then, as one who recovers himself, "I thought you did not hear." "I didn't," said Ra. "I wouldn't have had you run over then for the world," said Horrocks. "For a moment I lost my nerve," said Ra. Horrocks stood for half a minute, then turned abruptly towards the ironworks again. See how fine these great mounds of mine, these clinker heaps, look in the night? That truck yonder, up above there, up it goes, and out tips the slag. See the palpitating red stuff go sliding down the slope. As we get nearer, the heap rises up and cuts the blast furnaces. See the quiver up above the big one? Not that way, this way, between the heaps. That goes to the puddling furnaces. But I want to show you the canal first. He came and took Ra by the elbow, and so they went along side by side. Ra answered Horrocks vaguely. What he asked himself had really happened on the line. Was he deluding himself with his own fancies, or had Horrocks actually held him back in the way of the train? Had he just been within an ace of being murdered? Suppose this slouching, scowling monster didn't know anything. For a moment or two then, Rolf was really afraid for his life, but the mood passed as he reasoned with himself. After all, Horrocks might have heard nothing. At any rate, he had pulled him out of the way in time. His odd manner might be due to the mere vague jealousy he had shown once before. He was talking now of the ash heaps and the canal. Said Horrocks. What? Said Ra. Rather the haze and the moonlight? Fine. Our canal, said Horrocks, stopping suddenly. Our canal, by moonlight and firelight, is an immense effect. You've never seen it. Fancy that. You've spent too many of your evenings philandering up in Newcastle there. I tell you, for real florid effects, but you shall see boiling water. As they came out of the labyrinth of clinker heaps and mounds of coal and ore, the noises of the rolling mill sprang upon them suddenly, loud, near, and distinct. 3 shadowy workmen went by and touched their caps to Horrocks. Their faces were vague in the darkness. Rolf felt a futile impulse to address them, and before he could frame his words, they passed into the shadows. Horrocks pointed to the canal close before them now, a weird-looking place it seemed, in the blood-red reflections of the furnaces. The hot water that cooled the tree years came into it, some 50 yards up, a tumultuous, almost boiling affluent, and the steam rose up from the water in the silent white whips and streaks, wrapping damply about them, an incessant succession of ghosts coming up from the black and red eddies, a white uprising that made the head swim. The shining black tower of the larger blast furnace rose overhead out of the mist, and its tumultuous riot filled their ears. Ralph kept away from the edge of the water and watched Horrocks. Here it is, red, said Horrocks. Blood-red vapor, as red and hot as sin. But yonder there, where the moonlight falls on it, and it drives across the clinker heaps, it is as white as death. Ralph turned his head for a moment, and then came back hastily to his watch on Horrocks. Come along to the rolling mills,